conference informational session. We have a long history of supporting 7 a.m. meetings in our time zone alongside the RESNA meeting and conference for our international activities. So we are used to this. I know that it is evening for some of you where you are. We'd like you to go ahead and put into the chat where you're joining us from today. And also please feel free to say a greeting in your language, hi or welcome, and join us with a snack or beverage or your kid specific to your country. It's coffee for me, so please go and get something if you don't have something already.
Well, what's that?
Right, do you see it? Hello from Lebanon, good morning.
Mommy, where are all the friends? Where are all of them?
They're all in different locations.
Good afternoon, Jordan from the UK. Jordan.
Hello.
Hi, Paulette.
Canada. I've got my Bubba water bottle. That's just the name of that. My grandchildren call me Bubba. So
good to see you, Lee.
Several Canadians joining us here. Got it, Jessica. Yes, keep brewing that coffee. It's been a couple long days for everybody. Hi, Whitney. Welcome. Great to see some new names. New names for me anyway. Hi, Lisa. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. While everybody gets their beverage or treat, we thought we'd go ahead and show our ISWP overview video. Kritika, I'm not seeing the video, I just see the slides. I'm starting to hear it now.
Can you see the video now?
Not quite yet. Maybe it's better outside of the PowerPoint.
In the meantime, I'm Sarah from Colombia, and I brought an empanada, which is a dough made up of corn, and it's super delicious, filled with potatoes.
Does anyone else have a treat they'd like to share? Gracias, Sarah.
Yeah, banana bread.
Is it homemade, Karen?
Yes, I made it last night.
Yes, yeah.
Yum. That sounds
An
great.
pretty Canadian treat for all you Canadians.
That's right, Matthew.
Wonderful, Matt. We can hear it, Kritika, but still not seeing it. We're still seeing the slides.
I can see it.
I was gonna say the same thing. I think I'm able to see it.
Yeah, Gary, it might just be on your end.
All right, everybody, I believe has already entered in their country or location. If you haven't already, please enter into the chat. And then we can go on to the next slide, I believe. So our agenda for this morning or this evening, wherever you are, is to provide an update related to our ISWP separate entity, provide a bit of an overview for those of you who don't know of the wheelchair service provider certification and resources, how to get involved in ISWP, and then get updates from all of you, the community. We will hear from about 16 different people about their initiatives related to wheelchair service provision. We're very excited to hear from all of you. And with that, I will turn it over to John Perlman to provide an update on the ISWP separate.
Thanks, Mary. You can go ahead and click through these. Thank you. So the ISWP was launched actually at ISS, excuse me, in 2015, and it was really intended to help coordinate the wheelchair sector and professionalize products and services around the globe. And this was motivated because of this unmet need for appropriate wheelchairs and wheelchair service provision. There's a sort of population estimate of about 70 to 75 million people who need a wheelchair, and a very small percentage have access to one. And that's primarily in the more resource countries like the US and Canada, and many of the countries in Europe. But in less resourced environments where the health sector might not be as strong, there's very limited access to these. And so the intent was for ISWP to help coordinate activities. There's a lot of different groups working around the world. So bringing them together and focusing on them on their shared goal and working together was one of the key goals, as well as helping to implement some of the tools that the WHO had been publishing related to training guides, which you see the logos or the images of on the left. And you can go to the next slide. Excuse me, getting over a cough. So the mission is to serve as this global resource and specifically focused on service standards and provision. So we wanted to make sure that wherever you were, if you were receiving a wheelchair, you could be assured that it was a high quality wheelchair and that it was provided by a trained provider. Our vision is that all people who need mobility devices receive one that's appropriate. And we have been primarily funded by USAID. I looked at the numbers yesterday. We actually just received another grant within the last couple of days. And in total, it'll be close to $7 million have flowed into this, mostly from USAID. And other grants and donations have come in at the hundreds of thousands of dollars to support the initiative. And so it's been a major effort. It, of course, has been 7 years. And we've made some great strides, and we look forward to giving an overview of them. Much of the work is done by working groups and committees that we help to coordinate, and focused on the training activities and standardized training and implementing training activities around the world, and then also on product standards. So it's really been a volunteer effort, and that's to make sure that the work that we're doing is contextualized and appropriate, and often driven by a local partner. And so we're not trying to do this just centrally. Next slide. I'm happy to report that we, in this process, a lot of the work has been, we've always had an advisory board that's provided advice that we've reported out to quarterly. And we, within the last couple of years, you can go back, please. Within the last, say, year and a half, we've established a founding board. And so this was part of the process to establish a separate entity. So we have 11 leaders from all different parts of the sector: academia, Permobile, so businesses, different nonprofits that work and operate either locally or multinational organizations, as well as professional societies. So this board is highly recognized individuals in their profession and in the wheelchair sector. And they're helping shepherd this and will become the board of directors of a separate entity. So we've set up the entity. we've now just within the last month been recognized as a charitable nonprofit. And the actual moving of the training materials and all the IT and everything that really is the kind of nuts and bolts of ISWP is going to be happening in the next several months, and we'll be supporting an executive director who we're going to be hiring over the next couple of months. You can go to the next slide. And so this really goes over what I just mentioned. The executive director is key, and so we have hired a search firm that's going to help us identify. This is somebody who's going to wake up and go to sleep thinking about ISWP and making sure it's successful. We have fundraising campaigns that are being developed by a subcommittee of our founding board, and looking at different membership options and training packages and training interventions that will be based on a fee to help make sure ISWP can be sustainable. We do have a commitment from USAID for another large grant that would, rather than it's historically been flowing through the University of Pittsburgh, this next grant will go directly to the entity, and so allow it to really have the resources to launch and to build on the current strength of the organization. Next slide. And so we've probably made this slide 50 different times about what our activities are. I think this one really recognizes what we see as the two core activities, and that's one is to standardize products to make sure that if you're receiving a wheelchair anywhere in the world, that you can be assured it's going to be reliable and it's going to be suitable for the environment that you're in. And then service standards, which are focused on making sure the services that you receive are reliable, and regardless of where you are, you have a qualified service provider that's helping you make a selection for a wheelchair. And so we'll talk a little bit about these different areas. Go to the next slide. And I'm actually going to pass this back on to Mary. We're going to focus here on the service side, especially because of the context being at ISS and the work and the opportunities that that many of you on the call may be able to take advantage of through ISWP.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I'm pleased to provide an overview of the ISWP Wheelchair Service Provider Certification at the basic level. We've had the opportunity to discuss this a few times in the conference thus far, the session that we held yesterday in ISWP, as well as work that we've done in the Dominican Republic. And Sarah also mentioned this in her presentation a couple of days ago. But if you're not familiar, it acknowledges for 2 years on our website that you have not only the appropriate knowledge, so there is a basic test that you have to take and pass that we have available in 15 different languages, but you also have to demonstrate that you have appropriate training. So we have several different training courses that can assist in this process on our website. It also demonstrates that you're committed to the ISWP ethical standards of practice. I mentioned that the basic test is available in 15 languages. The certification process is thus far just available in English, Spanish, and French, but certainly over time we'll work to translate it into additional languages. There is a recertification process, so this demonstrates the individual's commitment as well to professional development in wheeled mobility and seating, and also demonstrates that they have continued to provide wheelchair services to clients. And through the website, the certified providers, certainly with their permissions, their profiles are able to be public. And you're able to search on our interactive map to identify where the certified providers reside in your area. We can go on to the next slide, please. We want to welcome you to get involved with ISWP if you haven't already. As John mentioned, this is a critical juncture for us where we are officially spinning out of the university, and there will be ample opportunities to still be involved in ISWP in this phase of growth. So we invite you to participate in committees or working groups. Our academic training partners, that's a group that meets around 4 times per year. We hear from academic institutions from many different countries. I think we're up to 30 now or close to it, to identify what their barriers have been to wheelchair service provision, education in their curriculums, and then find out strategies that were effective for them in integrating. And we've also been able to pair programs that are newly providing wheelchair training with those that are more senior in the field. So there's a good opportunity for mentorship. We invite you to subscribe to our newsletter. We circulate a regular newsletter, and there's also a specific newsletter for certified wheelchair service providers. We invite you to participate in our standards community of practice. So this looks at the product standards specifically. And John, if you attended our talk yesterday, John discussed a little bit about the wheelchair testing labs group that is now meeting to discuss challenges related to setting up test labs, and just sharing best practices. Please sign up for our membership for free. That will automatically get you on our distribution list and our newsletter list. And we, of course, invite you to please promote ISWP through our networks or your networks. If you don't already follow us on social media, please do so. And we certainly encourage you to share our posts, and we will do the same for you. Please go on to the next slide. And our website is there, wheelchairnetwork.org. A couple of other resources we wanted to mention is our policy advocacy toolkit. We discussed this yesterday as well. This has case studies from many different countries on how they were able to get wheelchair policies into their national legislation, as well as how to advocate for training within training programs, kind of all across the gamut. We talked about the systems-based approach to wheelchair service provision and those 5 Ps. The PAC covers all of those. We also developed from our academic training partners group, that was the motivation for it, the Seating and Mobility Academic Resource Toolkit that has several open source resources that you're able to filter and search by language and by professional discipline, as well as type of activity. So lab activities, homeworks, and whole modules are available on there. That is evolving into a wheelchair educators package. We're super excited about that effort that's led by Paula Rushton, who I think joined us today from the University of Montreal. And we're in the process of piloting that package, and we'll be doing a global launch this fall. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Next slide, please. And we encourage you to please join our global network now. So the website is there, and I believe also in the chat. And please feel free also to contact us at any time. And Krithika's contact information is there. And Krithika, if you could please drop your contact information in the chat as well, that would be great. And I'll turn it back over to you, Nancy, for our partner updates. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. So during the remaining time we have, we're happy to invite individuals who expressed an interest in speaking to the group to provide an update on what's happening within your organization, so that we can accommodate all of those who would like to speak. I am going to be the timekeeper. So we will give each presenter 2 minutes to present your update. And I will let you know when the 2 minutes has lapsed, and then we will move on to the next presenter. So we're really anxious to hear how things are going with all of you, and appreciate those who have signed up to speak. If there is time at the end and before we finish our session, we certainly will open the mic for questions and even additional input from the group. So I'd like to welcome our first presenter, Moab from the Association for Physically Disabled of Kenya. If you can unmute and let us know how things are going with you. I'm actually checking the list to see.
I do not see Mabu, Nancy.
Okay.
So maybe we could come back.
Sure. So if we can have, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names. I know these are really important. Kamrune, if Kamrune is with us this morning.
Yes,
Today.
hello.
There you are. Welcome.
Good morning. Oh, sorry, good evening. How are you?
Well, thanks. We look forward to your update.
Yeah. Can I start now?
Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm Kamrun Nahar from Bangladesh. So I'm working with wheelchair service provision in my settings. And my setting is a spinal cord injury rehabilitation center. So we have our own production. So there we basically provide 4 or 5 type of wheelchair, which we made according to our environmental context. So in Bangladesh, there are some local vehicles called rickshaw. So we designed our wheelchair according to that rickshaw. Then the user can repair it in their near in their rickshaw garage. So and referral service generally start from when patient referred to us. We took the referral and assess for wheelchair prescription. Then we assess it and provide prescription. And when we give the prescription, it went to the it will go to the workshop. And we have also funding option for the wheelchair provision. So for every patient, we have 12,000 taka. In it may be 700 or 800, maybe 1 or 200, near to 200 US dollar. Okay, so 200 US dollar, and there are also we have a special sitting unit where we provide a special wheelchair for our cerebral palsy patient, and we customize wheelchair according to the patient's need. Beside that, we have some special kind of wheelchair. It is called low line wheelchair. You know, Bangladesh is a agricultural country, and women from here have to do lots of work, cooking, other work in their low level. So for this reason, we have one special kind of chair. It is called low line wheelchair. We also provide this, and if you have a question you can answer, then I can give. Ask me, I can give answer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that update. Really appreciate hearing the important work you're doing.
I just wanted to
including. Yeah.
One thing I'll add an email in the chat to the person that coordinates our wheelchair standards group. So it would be wonderful, I think, to have you present and show some of the chairs and the rickshaw that you've developed. It might help inform the group about the range of products that are being delivered there, as well as there might be some insight into how to make those products very reliable for the users. So I'll add the email address of Stephanie Vasquez, who helps to coordinate.
If you're interested, I can add all the things, but I need the email address.
Yep.
Me.
I'll do that now. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, our next speaker is Abdul from Cheshire, Ethiopia. I don't see Abdul on the list, so I will, let's move on to Teresita Herrera. Let's see if she's joined us. I don't see Teresita either. We'll just keep going down the list and then we'll come back as people are able to join us. Marcos Evangelista. No, I don't see him. Carolina from CREA in Argentina. If you can give us an update on your activities, we welcome you to the floor. Carolina, would you like to give us an update? Okay, we'll come back to her. Let's see if we have MoMA here. Yes.
Hi, Kritika. I have a bad connection to speak. Sorry, but I'm in the beach.
No,
I can see you, but it's difficult for me to speak. The connection, it's a flu.
Sure.
We can hear you okay, Carolina, if you want to go ahead. We can hear you okay.
Yeah. How? I'm from Korea, Argentina. I'm doing the certification, intermediate certification for the ISWP. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi. I work in a hospital, in the public hospital in La Plata, and in a clinical as a clinician. And I work very hard with provision of wheelchairs in cerebral palsy. And we have a very good product in Argentina with several different access to it. Hi, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, Carolina, we could hear you pretty well, but you're welcome to type anything else in the chat also, if that's easier.
Yeah,
We're pleased to hear that you're doing the intermediate certification, and we covered the basic level in our overview, but the intermediate certificate is also available through our website. We can drop that link in our chat, and includes both a knowledge and a skills component. So thanks, Carolina.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's next, let's see if MoMA is with us this morning for an update from Liberia. I'm just looking through the attendees list, so bear with me. I don't see MoMA, so how about Cosmos? Cosmos. I can appreciate when you sign up for events, sometimes other things take priority. So it's I can appreciate, people are hoping to join us and then are not able to at the last minute. So I'm just going to keep going down the list to see who else. And I think there are some other folks who are interested in speaking. Kabali, is Kabali with us? Let's see. How about let's move to Kath from Loop Plus.
Hi, everyone. It's fantastic to be part of this group. Thank you for the invitation, and it's wonderful to hear about the other products. So we have developed a tracker for wheelchair users that continuously monitors seated pressure and positioning in everyday life. The sensor pad, so it's just this thin sensor pad, sits under the cushion of the wheelchair, and it's connected to a mobile app, and I'm sitting on one now, so you can kind of see as I move around, so you get that visibility of what's going on throughout the whole day. And then it gives you a summary, kind of like a Fitbit for your bum. So what we'd love to do is invite this group, if there are ways that something like these sensor technologies and that everyday visibility can help to extend your care or understand what your wheelchairs are doing, particularly as people here are developing, some of their own. How could technology like this help you in your work to support your communities? Please reach out. We're all about making sure that wheelchair users themselves are able to participate in their own care and understand what their own bodies are doing. And I think this really helps to extend care and access to care in communities that particularly are more remote. So please reach out and let us know how we can support your community We've been used to support seating adjustments and assessments, back to sitting protocols, obviously giving you and your clients and patients more confidence in how their body is moving and their pressure care regimes, and also educating both carers and wheelchair users themselves about what their bodies are doing, positioning in the chair. So please, again, let us know how we can help support, improve access to care and understanding of your wheelchair users. We'd love to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kat. It's amazing what technology can do to help us these days. So looking through the list, I think our next person would be Ali from Yemen. Ali, would you like to give us an update on the good work you're doing?
Yes, hello. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. First, I would like to thank all the ISWP staff for the job that they offer. And actually, I work with the Handicap Care and Rehabilitation Fund. This is the organization government. It's deal with people with disability in Yemen. All disability in Yemen, they go through this government organization. I am a wheelchair technician. I study in Tatco, Tanzania. And we are like providing with assisting people here with the wheelchair that is provided from ICRC. And also there is need is huge for people with disability. Many people did not get wheelchair, and also people receive wheelchair without assisting because people are not awareness of an appropriate wheelchair. And actually, what can I say? The last night there was a webinar with you, and I forgot to ask one question. Is I want to ask about does ISWP will offer high studying, like in high level, intermediate, or advanced in practice? So that will be different to study online. We take it online, but when we go to work, there is different. So if there is practice, this will be better.
Yes. We do offer in-person training, Ali. We'd be happy to connect you to an in-person trainer in your region. So please, if you could just email Krithika. I was looking for her email address again. She could post it in the chat again. We can work to get you connected from there.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So thanks, Ali. We really appreciate that. And it's great that you've done the intermediate training and that you are working so diligently in the field with your clients. We really appreciate that. Next up is Karen Rispin. Karen, if you'd like to give us an update, we'd appreciate it.
Sorry, I thought I was farther down the list. I wasn't ready. Yeah, I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about what's happening with Beeline and Bethany Kids in Kenya. I'm sort of speaking for people in Kenya here too. I don't look like I'm Kenyan, but that's where I grew up. And Bethany Kids does have wheelchair, has worked extensively with ISWP and has training. We have a dream to get a Beeline facility, or starting with Beeline in Kenya. And here I'm trying to show, I guess it doesn't really work. It's supposed to be the Beeline website, but I'll post it too. and Josh Smith and Jonathan Biggers, who are on the call, are working with Mark Richard, planning to go down there in a week or so, and to Kenya in March. So things are rolling. We're working at the first step of getting a big container of Beeline wheelchairs ready to be unassembled, ready to initiate what's available there. We've connected with Nancy Mbugua and Nora Keatoney, who I believe are trainer of trainers for, I think, the World Health thing, but I imagine they're also on the ISWP list for wheelchairs. So the idea is to get something local and sustainable. I'll put the Bethany Kids link up already. They've been giving away, they've been properly providing, I shouldn't say it that other way, wheelchairs in Kenya for several years now, and over 1,000 wheelchairs each year. And for the last few years, of course, COVID slowed things down a bit. So I'm really excited to say there's a neat initiative that is a hybrid of input from overseas and local input that looks like it's really going forward. So.
Great, congratulations. That's wonderful, really great.
Appreciate prayer still that everything does finish coming together properly.
Yeah, COVID is our new reality, and it presents so many challenges, especially working abroad. So we applaud all of you for working in challenging circumstances. So we have a little bit of time. If there's anyone else who would like to provide an update on your organization, what you're working on now, how ISWP can help, or if you just have any general questions for the ISWP team, we're happy to take those now. We have a little bit of time before we close the session this morning, today.
Hello.
Hi there. Yes.
Yes. Actually, I just want to say something. I am working as a service provider. I access wheelchair, take the measurement of wheelchair, but I have more than 8 years working experience with wheelchair service. But I just have basic level training, so I don't have any intermediate level training. If I get that, it will be very better for me to provide more in-depth service or to improve my knowledge. So if there's an option or anything else I can get from ISWP.
Mary or Krithika or Sarah, would you be able to comment on the intermediate training and how that can help her?
Sure, thank you, Nancy. I'm happy to take on the question. So we actually have the intermediate training of trainers completely online. It's freely available on our website, so anybody can sign up and then take up the course. But we're also doing customized training for different organizations, but it's at a fee. So we will provide a specific quotation just to cover trainers' stipend, and then ISWP staff cost, and then managing the platform. So this course would be the hybrid format where the participants will have to go through the program online course over 6 weeks, and at the end of each week there would be recitations where the trainer would come in and the trainees would come in and ask questions or discuss any topic that they have completed that week, and then there would be an in-person training in collaboration with the partner in that particular country. So we have successfully completed many trainings in the past several years. So if you could please share your email, I think you did, Kamrani. So I will personally follow up with you. I'm so sorry. My apologies.
It's okay. Are you Krithika?
Yes, I am Krithika.
Yes, I involved with you as academic partner training.
Oh yes, we already know you then. Great.
So actually, immediately I need that intermediate level training. So
okay. Sure, I will personally email you, and then we can take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Krithika.
Great. Other questions or updates for the group while we're together?
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, my name is Jad, and currently I'm a physical therapist in the ICRC. what we face most as a challenge in the wheelchair provision is that we don't have any characteristics of the sponge we use, of the like the cover of these, the small details that makes everything together. It's not the fact of how to choose a wheelchair, it's rather than the material used. Is there anything like the characteristics of the sponge that should be present, or the characteristics of the cover? Okay, we do know that the cover should be like water repellent, should not like absorb water, but is there like a standardized from where we can buy them, suppliers all over the world, or at least in our region? So this is the main difficulty that we face while doing the wheelchair provision services. Thank you.
John, from the product side, would you be able to comment on that, or anyone else here on the call?
That's a good question. There is some description of the types of material, and both in the covers and the actual cushion, as part of the basic training package from WHO. So that might be a resource for you. We are starting to build up content on our product site related to cushions, but it's more on the standardized testing and not maybe the more practical aspects of where you're trying to get cushions from. What region are you working in? Are you speaking in ICRC in general, or a specific region that you?
No, specifically in Lebanon. Okay. And in order to translate those national and international standards to the local market, and to try to get the best in the local market, it's a bit challenging, because you can't find everything, and there is like a limitation in everything. So
where are you usually, if you find a good supply of wheelchairs, you can find a good supply of cushions. So who are you receiving your where are you getting access to wheelchairs? Because that's usually where.
Yes, it's the modification of these, like the things we use as to modify this cushion. It's rather than the cushion itself.
So I would refer to the basic package, which I know Krithika put a link in there. That'll describe the types of materials and also provide some advice on how to manufacture cushions. And but there should not be, in that region, we haven't heard of a concern of access to the materials, and so it might just be trying to identify who the supplier is. And then Mary mentioned Cecibel, who we've worked with over the years, that may.
Yes, she was the one who gave us the session, and but also there is a limitation in the local market. But yes, thank you so much, and much appreciated.
Sure, happy to help, and reach out. I think we can further identify partners for you if you want to reach out, and maybe send an email with a specific request, and then we can circulate it around among our network.
Thank you, much appreciated.
And Karen, I see your hand raised if you'd like to offer a comment, question.
Yeah, several times it seems like ISWP can help with training on a sort of intentional level with a certain organization. Like you described with when we were talking about Dominican Republic. I'd just like to know what that process would be if I'm working with, say, a mission hospital in Ethiopia, and they'd like to get some people trained. What would be the steps to connect and the process?
Krithika or Mary, would you like to address Karen's question? How to get involved, how to have ISWP involved with a training opportunity?
Do you mind, Krithika?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, really, it's reaching out to Krithika. I'll answer for everybody, which is Krithika really manages all those requests and can put together not only a quote to give an understanding of the cost, depending on if there's a local trainer available, but also identify trainers and help actually execute the training. So Krithika is the absolute key to all of those activities.
Okay, Krithika, I'm looking forward to talking.
Sure. Thanks, Karen.
Wonderful. Are there other questions or comments for the group? This is such a terrific opportunity. Sarah, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to add something to Jad's comment, and I think that's a really important request that we get a lot, like what is the specific density of the cushion that we need in order to make modifications. And as Dr. Perman said, the WHO has some information, but since there is like no standardized name for the cushions, at least on our experience with wheelchair service provision, then it's really difficult, because in Dominican Republic, what we have to do is the trainer went to the fabric, and then we were on a call asking to do this to the foam to see if it was resistant enough. So I think it's a great opportunity to keep standardizing the way we deliver wheelchairs and cushions, and discuss a little bit further, like what types of materials are necessary to make these cushions. Just wanted to add that. Thanks.
John, this is Nancy. I actually have a question. I haven't looked at the ISWP design considerations document in a while, but do our design considerations address cushions and materials at all? I'm not sure. I know.
Oh, unfortunately not. So we just focused on manual wheelchairs. And so we had hoped to do cushions and hoped to do power wheelchairs at some point, but it was even manual wheelchairs was such an undertaking with that committee that the real only resource, there's two resources. One of is the basic, probably some in the intermediate, but others will know that details more than I do. And then there was sort of a publication by Ralph Hotchkiss years and years ago that talked about how to develop cushions, but it's an ongoing sort of process to do it locally and do those adjustments. And so much of this has moved to trying to identify a range of cushions that might be available from the actual wheelchair service provider. So if ICRC was purchasing wheelchairs through CLASP, for instance, then they would have a range of cushions available, but they're not, the adjustability of those and trying to adapt them for, specific postural deformities or pressure injury risks is really still not well, I think, described anywhere. I mean, I'm sure the intermediate packages touch on them, but it was impossible when developing that to include, locally available resources. Now, I think if we knew that this was an issue around the world, then it's something that we can put on our website. Like we have lists of where trained providers are around the world. We have lists of where test labs are around the world. Certainly, we could have something that was curated that would say, here are suppliers of products that are trusted by our network.
Thanks, John. And we'll put a link to the product wiki in the chat box as well that provides the resources that John mentioned. We touched on the standards community of practice and the wheelchair testing centers community of practice. So there are a lot of resources on our website that in general with regard to product that could be a resource for you. But we've noted this as an important discussion point moving forward. Would anyone else like to offer a question or a comment?
Yes, please.
Sure, Ollie, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask if there is like a standard for, as we have many different types of wheelchair, and sometimes our organization providing with power wheelchair, and we have like limited of resource, and all people need they want like a power wheelchair, and try to encourage them this power wheelchair is not good for them. Manual wheelchair is like better for them. to like is they are doing like an active. There is no like standard to show this power wheelchair is better than manual wheelchair or something, just to show this thing. Yes.
So Ollie, I think what I understand you're saying is that, is there a checklist, or is there a reference that could say this chair is better suited to the client than another type of chair? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something that you can say, well, I have this, but this product might be better. John, Sarah, anyone, any comments there?
Maybe I'll defer to Sarah. I think that this is really has to do with a level of experience with the products that are coming in, as well as experience with providing a range of clients, the needs. There's not this perfect algorithm, although that there are some very strong pointers about, what types of tires, whether you can use a standard chair, based on the needs of the user. So if it's, and that's linked to diagnosis. So I'm not the expert, but Sarah, do you want to try to point to any particular resources that can help guide that?
Sure, thank you. And I agree with you that it's like up to the user's need, right? The user is in the center of our process. So probably a manual wheelchair that will work good for one person will not work good for another person. But in general, there are some guidelines regarding when to go to power wheelchair from manual. I know there is a research paper about it, and I will look it up and send it to you, Ali, because they have a really cool decision tree on like if the person has less strength in their upper extremities, or if they have to do a lot of frequency on the propulsion and so on. So I'll make sure to look it up and email you that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I just noticed that Karuna Ray from the Center for the Rehabilitation of the Paralyzed in Bangladesh just joined us. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you would like to provide an update on your activities, you had requested some time to speak to the group.
Pardon, could you please repeat?
Nancy, this is the same person.
Oh, that's right. We have people coming and going. I think a lot of it has to do with internet connections. So bear with me. I'm making lists, checking them twice to be sure that we've included as many people as possible. So thank you. Well, I think we can wrap up here unless there are some other questions for the group. We'd like to give you some time to refresh your coffee, take a break before the ISS sessions begin in about a half an hour. Please know that we're here. The ISWP team is here as a resource. Krithika has provided her email. We'll put all of our email addresses in the chat window, but reach out to us at any time. If you have questions, visit our website. But we're here to support you in the important work that you're doing. And I'll turn it over to John and Mary for closing comments.
I just want to thank you and thank the whole team for coordinating this. These are always wonderful events for us to connect with new folks and then actually connect faces to names. And so appreciate seeing you and excited always to do something at ISS, given that we launched ISWP at this event in 2015.
Echo my thanks and look forward to staying in touch. Thank you.
Have a great rest of the conference, everyone, and we look forward to hearing from you. Take care.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.